Since I've been on this property, I've discovered that there is a lack of resources for smaller acreage landowners. By smaller acreage landowners, I'm talking about more than 2 acres, really less than 100-ish. If you're trying to get timber stand improvement guys, a harvest company to harvest your wood or your timber, if you're trying to get a lot of these services, it's just not there. You can get tree guys and arborists, but they don't necessarily know what's best for natives and habitat and wildlife or game. Game managers, habitat specialists, timber buyers, they're really focused on larger acreage properties. They don't have time to pull away farther from home to get to these smaller farms like I'm on. That's even more true when you step into Cherokee County, where you've got, smaller farms and more populated areas, Okay, so it's always a little bit overkill what I do here, but if you've ever had a fire get out, you'll be glad that you do it every time. I learned the hard way. So water tank for catching lines that jump or stuff trailing up trees, backpack sprayer to get to things that you can't necessarily get your tank to easily, a backpack blower to blow lines or push fire back out of grassy areas. It's always good to have some hand tools on hand, and then a chainsaw and your drip torch. So it's a little bit overkill, but it's better to have it and not need it. All right, so I've got this area. It's about 7 acres down through here. You can see I've got a fire break cut out on the other side of these leaves right here. Comes back around. I'm about to clear another one somewhere right in here. What I'm going to do today is, I'm going to start right here with this small chunk. It's maybe 1,500 square foot. I'm going to make sure everything is prepped and clean. I'm going to test to see what the fire is going to do and how it's going to move and what the behavior is going to be. And I'm going to start with this one small chunk. If it goes really smooth, I'll move on up on top of this ridge and I'll block out another little bit bigger chunk. And I'll go chunk by chunk along this area and see how much I can get burned by myself today safely. By limiting the amount of fire that you're putting on the ground, it's a lot easier to contain. And the other thing I'm going to be doing is mopping up as I go. I'm going to be, while it's burning, going behind the fire with my backpack sprayer, mopping up logs and snags that catch fire. And it's way easier to mop these spots up right after the fire goes through and had time to smolder and burn for a long time. This is a Kestrel unit, and I really like this thing. The weather's constantly changing up here in the mountains, especially later in the day. Right now you can see that wind is barely moving up here. It's about 1 mile per hour, maybe gusting up to 2 at times, but pretty plain today. Not a lot of wind to move fire, so we're going to have to see how dry these leaves are. The other thing that's important to look at is the RH. We're at 30 right now. Luckily, there's a lot of moisture in the ground at the moment. Just dropped down to 29. So by keeping these blocks smaller, if it starts dropping down into the mid and low 20s, we got to start being real careful with what we're doing. All right, I always like to try to start with the crunch test. Not super crunchy, but I think crunchy enough to carry. We're going to find out. We're going to start a little test spot right here. And we're going to see if it carries, how well it carries. All right, it's carrying quite nicely, nice and slow down the hill against the wind. I like it. I'm going to go ahead and light the rest of this little bit of line off, and we'll get this first chunk here knocked out. We can learn so much about fire behavior, even on a small scale. You can see I just lit this corner. It's creating a little bit of a flanking fire. This is a great backing fire. You can see how it's burning nice and slow downhill against the wind. And then look on that end. I got it flanking around a little bit too. Those flanks get black on that edge before the head fire or the fire makes it down there, the backing fire makes it down. It also helps pull that fire on down the hill a little bit quicker. So this first chunk's about done, took about 20 minutes. So I lit a little head fire just to burn some black on the line. Look at the height of the head fire coming up the hill in the wind. Look at the height of that backing fire coming down. And believe it or not, the backing fire is consuming a lot more fuel than the head fire is. It's just moving faster and higher and consuming less fuel. A couple little things on the edge right here, it's just smoldering a little bit. We'll just go ahead and mop it up right now before I move on to the next section. All right, section 1's a wrap. We got probably, I'd guess, 50 to 60% of that heavy duff layer up. There is some more duff down underneath that black, but that's okay. It's the first burn we've had over here in 50 years.